Omagana Timendasya Gyananganan Salakaya Jaksu Sulta Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishta Stapita Yena Bhutale Sayarupa Kadamanya Dadati Swapadantika Bandeha Sri Guru Swita Padakamalan Sri Guru Vaishnavascha Sirupan Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatan Tan Sajivan Sadhutan Savadutan Parijana Satan Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devan Sri Radha Krishna Parasahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kantu Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radha Bindamaniswari Pishavano Sutadevi Pranamami Yarepi Vanchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhivivacha Patitana Pavanavibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Siva Shari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Himabhadavi Chavisundaraya Tasma Maha Purimrasa Padaya Chaitanya Chandra Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandra Namo Namaste. So I thank everyone for coming this evening for the continued discourse on the Bhagavad-Gita. So, Bhagavad-Gita is the supreme holy book because it was spoken by Lord Krishna himself. And just by hearing even half a verse of the Bhagavad-Gita, one gets benefit from it. There was one time, there was a kingdom, and in that kingdom was a king. So the king was there, and then the king, he has got a commander-in-chief. Somehow the commander-in-chief of that kingdom, so he desired to be the king himself. So he desired to be the king, so he conspired with the prince to kill the king so that he can take over the kingdom and be the king. But somehow, when he was planning this, he got sick. He got cholera and then died. So this commander-in-chief died. So when he died, so in his next life, he became a horse. So he became a very fast-moving horse, very valuable horse. That one businessman in that particular kingdom, so seeing this horse, he decided to buy this horse and make a business out of it. So the businessman, he bought a horse and then went to the same king that, oh, I've got this valuable horse, you can allow to sell it. So the king, he examined the horse, he said, oh, this horse is such a fast-moving horse. So he bought the horse, he bought it. He bought the horse and paid whatever money the businessman was asking. So, so one time, the king, along with his entourage, soldiers, so they decided to go, to the countryside. To go to the countryside, wandering around. Somehow, the king was he became very thirsty. And then he decided to look for water because it became very thirsty. So he was riding along in the countryside, riding. Somehow he lost track of his retinues, of his entourage. He lost track of them. He was so he was going. As he was going, so the horse became tired. He became tired. So he decided to rest at a place. So I decided to rest at a place. Somehow, he saw that a wind he's blowing some kind of a parchment. He was blowing a kind of a parchment. So he got all of that parchment, and then looking at that parchment, it turned out there is a verse of the Bhagavad-Gita. It happened to be the chapter 15 of the Bhagavad-Gita. It's one verse. It's actually half a sloka. So the king was reading it, especially in Mama Vasa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, like that. He was reading it. And as the king was reading this, so all of a sudden, this horse fell down, died. So the horse died, and then as the horse died, and then immediately the horse, he got a four-hand form. He got a four-hand form, and this horse, the messenger from Vaikuntha Dham came, and they took this person away, because he has got a four-hand form. So the king was very surprised, said, how could this be? What happened to this? And then the king, he was wondering, and then he saw an ashram, nearby was an ashram, and he saw a brahmana there. And then he narrated to the brahmana what has happened, that this horse that he was riding, the horse died, and then assumed a four-hand form, and he was taken to Vaikuntha Dham. What happened? So this brahmana said that, this horse was actually previously your commander-in-chief in his previous life, and he had made a conspiracy to kill you along with the prince, but somehow he became a horse, and now, however, by hearing the half a sloka of the chapter 15 of the Bhagavad-Gita, this horse became liberated. This horse became liberated just by hearing the half a sloka of the horse. So this story was actually narrated by Lord Shiva himself. He narrated this story to his wife Parvati, that even just by hearing even a half a sloka of the Bhagavad-Gita, one can get the supreme benefit, you can say. So in this way, the Gita Mahatma, so many wonderful stories are there. So today, we are beginning the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, text number 1, Purushottam Yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the chapter 15 of the Bhagavad-Gita, Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. Text number 1, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Puramolam Adashakam, Ashwatam Pravavyayam, Charansi Yashapanani, Yastam Veda Sabedabit, Udamulam, with roots above, Adha, downwards, Shakam, branches, Ashwatam, a banyan tree, Prahu is said, Abhyayam, eternal, tendency, the Vedic aims, Yasya, of which Panani, the leaves, Ya, anyone who, Tam, that, Veda, knows, Sa, he, Vedavit, the knower of the Vedas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic aims. One who knows this tree He is the knower of the Vedas. Purport. After the discussion of the importance of bhakti-yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end. And for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic aims meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. These trees grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. The process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material world grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward. But there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the roots of this material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then the 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, the Sendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is the perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness. But in reality, the Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself. And that is explained in Bhagavad-Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to call down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Udam Olam Adashakam, Asvatam Pravabhyam, Chandansi Yasapanani, Yastam Vedashavedabit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So this is the beginning of this chapter, which is called the Purushottam Yoga, or the Yoga of the Supreme Person. In the previous chapters, especially chapter 13, the Lord explains the field of activities and also the knower of the field of activities, in the sense that this material world, which consists of 24 elements, that is the field of activities whereby the living entities perform, all kinds of materialistic activities. They gather so much karma. In this way, they prepare for their next body. So you have Ketra and then you have Ketragyan. So Ketra, of course, is the field of activities, and the Ketragyan is the limited to the knower. However, there is the Supreme Ketragyan. The Supreme Lord, he knows all living entities. As mentioned, that it's just like there are two birds sitting on the tree. The two birds sitting on the tree, one is eating all kind of fruit here and there, and the other one simply observing. The other bird simply observing. So we, the living entities in the material world, we are like that. We are busy eating all kinds of fruit of the tree, the tree of material existence. Whereas the Supreme Lord is there, observing us, our activities, and simply waiting for that period of time when we will look towards Him. Because, as one is eating the fruits, different, sometimes some is bitter, sometimes some is sweet. Not every fruit is sweet. So similarly also in the material world, sometimes we're in a good situation and sometimes we're in a bad situation. So in this way, the samsara, the ocean of samsara is like that. Life after life after life after life. Sometimes things are good and sometimes things are very bad. That's the reality. That's the way karma works. So karma works that way. But the Supreme Lord is there observing all our activities, observing is at the Supreme Witness. And of course also, he's also our friend. Krishna is actually our friend. Because he's sitting right there next to us in our heart, and he's looking at us, looking down, okay. It's simply waiting patiently. When are you going to turn your attention to me? Because from the time you turn your attention to him, to Krishna, from that time you become happy. You get real happiness, not the temporary happiness. So in the chapter 13, the Lord explains the field of activities and the know of the field. And then in chapter 14, there is the descriptions of the modes of material nature, whereby the living entities are described according to the particular modes of nature. Because this whole material world is under the constitution of the three gunas. It's under the constitution of the three gunas: Satagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. So the whole material world is under that constitution. So, of course, when somebody is in the mode of goodness, Sattva-gun, such a person is normally calm by nature and a very usually happy person. They're very shanti. When somebody is in a Tamagun, in Sattva-gun, and then when someone is a Rajagun, very passionate. Whereas when one is Tamagun, one is in a perpetual state of inertia, sleepy stage, ignorance. But Krishna, towards the end of chapter 14, so Lord Krishna says that one should be able to transcend the modes of material nature. And how do one transcend that? So the Lord explained that this mode can be transcended by performing ananya bhakti to him. That if one engage in the bhakti, then one can be able to transcend the modes of nature. And then the Lord, towards the end of chapter 13, the Lord said, Brahmano Pratishtaham. He said, I'm the basis of everything. I'm the basis. So the Lord saying that he is the basis of Brahman, he is the basis of a spiritual nature. When we say Brahma means the spiritual nature. It is that spiritual nature that can elevate a living entity, that can extricate a living entity from this material world. That spiritual nature. And the Lord says, he said, I am the basis of that spiritual nature. Which means that if one develops bhakti towards him, then one becomes free from material nature. That's what the Lord says. So, who is that supreme person? Who is he? So, in this chapter, the Lord is talking about that supreme person. So, the Lord is talking about the living entities. He talks about the Father, the living entities. There is part and parcels. The Lord said, Mama Ivasu Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasastan Indrani, Prakriti Sani Kashati. So the living entities are my eternal part and parcel, and they are simply struggling with material nature, with material energy. But the Lord said again that, okay, if the living entity simply come to my nature, then they can come to that place whereby he said, Nata Bashate Suyo, that you come to that place where there is no sun, there's no moon, it's self-illuminating. That is spiritual world. And that place, the Lord said, when you go to that place, you don't come back to that place. So in this way, this whole chapter, which consists of 20 verses, so the Lord giving this deep lesson. Now, in order to distinguish between those entities, living entities, who are actually pursuing the uh, detachment from this material world, and those who maintain their attachment to this material world. So the Lord is using a metaphor. He's using a metaphor here by describing that this world is just like a banyan tree. That is just like a banyan tree, Ashratam pro abinyam. That, he said there is an imperishable banyan tree, an Ashrata tree. And this banyan tree, we know that the banyan tree is a tree whereby it's difficult to ascertain the actual root of it. It grows endlessly. It grows endlessly. Because when the banyan tree grows, then the branches go, and then again the branches again go down, and then become a root, and then again another growth. So a single banyan tree can actually cover a very huge place. That when we find it difficult to really ascertain the actual root, what is the base? Where is the root of this? What is the main root of this tree? One we find it very difficult. So which means it can grow endlessly. So this is what the Lord explained. He said there is a banyan tree that has got its root upward and its branches down. The leaves are the Vedic aims, and one who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So if you can just visualize this tree itself, so the root, like it mentioned that now according to because different commentators, they gave different understanding of this tree. Some describe the root as being the Supreme Lord Himself, because after all, the Supreme Lord is situated above. He's situated in the spiritual sky, and He's the root of everything. And the branches, and the various branches, these are the representative of different living entities. Different entities that they represent like different branches of this tree. So you have all living entities. This thing also include the demigods, that up to Lord Brahma and all that. So they are representative of different entities. And then the leaves that comes out of the tree. After all, a tree is not complete without the leaf. So the leaves are described to be like the Vedic aims. The Vedic, the aims of the Vedas. Now there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. So these are the 4 branches of the Vedas. And there are different verses. Chandam is the Vedic. Chandan is the Vedic aims. And through the chanting of various and this the chanting of various Vedic verses, whereby one can actually invoke different demigods, like Vayu, Suryadev, Indradev, and by invoking different demigods through the chanting of Vedic aims, then one can get one's materialistic desire fulfilled. Because in this material world, people are after Dharma, after Kama Moksha. People are after religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and then ultimately, then they want liberation. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, these are the pursuits of the living entities. But people chant, they utilize different Vedic aims to achieve these aims, to achieve that. So the tree is there, and the Vedic aims are also there. But we know that in this material world, like Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport here, that everything is based on desire. And desires of the living entities are endless. Because the living entities, who have turned their back away from Krishna, so they want to enjoy themselves to the max. And there's no way to actually determine the extent by which someone can stop desiring. Just like one time, King Akbar, he once asked his minister, Biba, that to what point that the person stopped thinking of sex life? To what point? So the minister replied, he said, no. He said the person will never stop thinking of sex life. It will always be there. The lost desire will always be there in the person. And the king was surprised. He said, you mean even when somebody is very sick and up to the time of death, you will still be thinking of lust, sex desire? He said, yes. And then the minister said, okay, let's test. Let's make a test. Let's go to the hospital. And as we go to the hospital, you should take along one of your daughter. One of your beautiful, you take along one of your daughter. So the king said yes. So the king, along with the ministers, the king and Biba, so they went to a hospital. And in that hospital, there was a very, very old man who was just, about to die, obviously. Very, very old man, was very, very sick. He was bedridden. So they went into the room where this old man was, was lying. So the king, along with the Biba, along with his daughter, so they went there. So even, yes, the king have arrived. Normally when the king arrived, everyone wants to pay attention to the king. But this old man, so he opened his eye, but what he was doing, he was simply looking at the daughter of the king, not the king himself. He was simply looking at the daughter. So Biba said, you can see that this man is not looking at you, or simply looking. His infatuation is at the, at the daughter, not the presence of the king. So this is the nature of the material world. We're desiring will always be there. That's why it's only once we become Christian conscious that desire become, Actually, of course, desire itself can never be finished. Desire will always be there, but it has to be transformed. It has to be simply be replaced. So which means instead of having karma means lust, then one should have praying for Krishna. So one have prayed for Krishna only by the association of praying bhaktas, those loving devotees of Krishna, by associating with them, hearing from them, and running service to them. Then one can develop a love of Krishna. Then by having such love of Krishna, then there'll be no more love for this material world. Because this material world is transitory, is always, everything is temporary, but we imagine it to be eternal. It's just like it's mentioned that sometimes you go to the bank of a tree. So when you look back of the tree, the original tree is there, but when you look down to the river, you see the reflection of the river down, and that reflection, the whole tree is way down. The top of the tree is down, whereas the root is up. So basically, this whole material world is a reflection of the original tree. The original tree being the spiritual world, and this has been explained, in the purport here by Srila Prabhupada. It's very, very deep purport. It's very long purport. Actually, we can actually take time in analyzing each paragraph of this purport. It's a very long purport, which Srila Prabhupada gives, fully. It's so very thought-provoking purport. So the original tree is there in the spiritual world, and the spiritual world, this material world, is a reflection of the spiritual world. So those who have developed spiritual consciousness, they don't have attraction for this material world, because they know that the material world is temporary thing, whereas the reality is in the spiritual world. So that's why it's mentioned here. Yastam Vedascha Vedas are ahead of it because they know. So they know that this, all this so-called this tree, this which seems endless of this material world, is all a temporary thing. So this the tree of material world is temporary. It's a temporary manifestation. Because why? It is the original of the reality. The reality is the reality. It's in the spiritual world. But somehow, out of illusion, in the material world, a living entity is thinking that this material world is all in all. It's all in all. But someone who knows can understand that everything is just temporary. So therefore, they don't waste their time. So, and one of the important things that is mentioned here, that those who have developed spiritual consciousness, they deal with this material world with a sense of detachment. The sense of detachment, why everyone else is very attached to every situation in this material world, but the spiritualists, they are not attached to it. Because we cannot develop spiritual consciousness if we are attached to the material world. So detachment must be there. And how do we become detached? Because we know there is no permanent happiness in the material world. And of course, also there is no permanent distress. Everything is temporary. And whatever we'll do, there has to be like corresponding reaction. So therefore, we remain detached from it. But this detachment, however, is not artificial. It's not like the monkey renunciation. It's not yukta vairagya, because the monkeys they jump from one tree to another tree, basically pursuing one sense gratification. They give one up, and then they again jump to another one. That is called vairagya, yukta vairagya. Makata vairagya. It's called makata vairagya, which is jump from one thing to another thing. So, which means as a spiritualist, we cannot follow the method of the makata vairagya, the monkey renunciation. Okay, we don't like one situation, and then we go to another situation. Okay, I don't like service here, then I go over there, like that. That's makata vairagya. It never make anyone satisfied. Whereas real vairagya is to understand that yes, Krishna is to be served, and all of our senses is meant to render service unto Him. And if you do that, then we become satisfied. He said that Rishike Sevana Bhakti Uchite. And then Mahaprabhu is saying that Krishna Bhakta Niskam Ataiva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Shidikama Sakalya Shanta, that the only Krishna devotee, they are the only one who are happy, who are peaceful in this material world. Why? Because it's called Niskam. Because they have no desire. So Niskam Ataiva Santa. But however, Bhukti Mukti Shidikam is Sakalya, so that all others, the bhaktas, those who desire liberation, the yogis or the kamis, the Sangharifuka, none of them can ever be peaceful. So, but a devotee of Krishna is always peaceful. And because it's always peaceful, so it's always happy. So a devotee of Krishna, he only does things that Krishna wants. He does things that make Krishna happy. So because he does things that only make Krishna happy, so he does not have his own desire, but he have all the desire for Krishna. So therefore he's always satisfied, he's always happy. And of course this we can find in many writings of the acharyas, of how everything is devoted for the ultimate service of Krishna. So this chapter 15 is a very wonderful chapter, the Purushottam Yoga, and as we are reading in all the subsequent verses, the Lord is going to be taking us. He's going to be describing that the nature of this tree, what is its nature, and how the living entities, how they actually entangled, within it, and of course, and how to break the entanglement from this this false representation of this material world, which we claim to be real. Now, another thing, of course, because the Mayavadis, they say that the material world is false. No, material world is not false. Material world is real, but it's temporary manifestation. It's a bhuta pralayate. Again and again it manifests, again and again it becomes unmanifest. It come and go. At the end of Brahma's day, everything manifests, and then when the Brahma's night comes, everything becomes unmanifest. Everything again merges into the body of Vishnu, and then the next day of Brahma, again everything again becomes manifest, and all the living entities again, they assume their particular bodies according to the previous karma which they left in the previous day of Brahma. So therefore the bhuta pralayate, so which means there's always manifestation is there. So therefore the Mayavadi, they have the wrong conception that there's a Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, that only Brahman is truth and the material world is false. No, material world is not false. Yeah, sometimes we want to mistake a rope to be a snake sometimes. Especially if you're in a dark place, you see your leg touch a rope, and you are thinking that you are touching a snake. You become afraid. So that is it doesn't mean that in reality there's no rope or there's no snake. Both are there in reality, but it's your misconception. It's your misidentification that's affecting you, that's causing you fear. So similarly also material world is real, but it's our misidentification of material world that is causing the trouble. Material world is real, but it's temporary, because everything is the lost energy. So I'm going to stop here. There are a lot of things we can learn from this verse and also the purport. We should take time to read the purport that Srila Prabhupada had written here. We should read this purport again and again. So it's a lot of wonderful understanding that is there. Okay. Hare Krishna. So any question? Yeah. Hare Krishna.
As you were speaking in this material world, we are in this material world, but when we are in Vrindavan Dham, the desires still cannot go, just like you are giving the example of an old man at the time that also his desire doesn't go. So even we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. But still the desires are coming. When you see some beautiful woman or this when your mind goes there, you are disturbed. So these desires cannot be stopped. They are just like the waves coming and going in our mind. Even though we don't by force, sometimes some object we see in our desires get what benefit I can get from that object.
Yeah, this is true. That even though we're here in the Supreme Abode, Vrindavan, still desire is still there. And because as living entities, we are always captive. We are captive in the hands of Maya, and it's not easy to break free from Maya's entanglement. By practicing Krishna consciousness, we are making every effort to become free from the allurement of Maya. We are making every effort, but still it's still there. Desire is there, and because of that desires, that manifests in terms of our personalities. We want to be devotees. We are chanting the Lord's names, associating, but still, our personality is still the same in terms of our behaviors. Even sometimes, sometimes the devotees, sometimes they seem to be worse than non-devotees in terms of their behavior sometimes. So all this because the Because the desire is so deep-rooted. Desire is so deep-rooted. And until one actually really come to take shelter of the Lord and actually cried intensely to the Lord, that because we really have to, there has to be, because we have to get ready to give up something, So which means we have to get ready to give up, basically for ego. That I am this, I am that, I am that, the sense of worth that I worth something, So that has to be there. Unless that is there to give us something that, okay, I am nothing but I belong to Krishna. Aham mameti, that I belong to Krishna. Until we come to that point, it's not possible, because as we said before, that desire can never go away, but desire can go away only if it's replaced with pure Krishna bhakti. And that's why it's very, very important that we should seek very tangible association. We should seek out those devotees who are actually very advanced, who actually they call them nirapeksha, means they have no desire to be, they are totally free. They just, they are so deep-rooted in bhakti. If you are fortunate to find such devotees, then we can become infected by them. And the more we become infected by them, the more we become detached from this material world. Whereas without detachment, the desire will always be there. So it's a very serious thing. It's not a simple answer. It's a struggle. It's a struggle that one has to make it. So the Bhaktivinoda said that every day a devotee should wake up in the morning and should take out his shoe and beat up his mind 100 times. In the morning time, and before you sleep at night, you should do the same thing. Because it's, the mind is crazy. The mind is crazy. So it's, so we try to let's follow that advice of the Acharya, because in our devotional life, no one is our enemy. We are our own enemy. But we always stand to point out, oh, this person is my cause of my trouble, that person is causing my trouble. But we are the cause of our own trouble. And that's something we have to work on and that's only possible by association with great personalities. Those great personalities, they are not easily available, so we have to pray for them, we have to cry for them to find out where they are. And if we are sincere, Krishna will reveal them to us. So that should be our desire, our goal, our aspiration, basically. Because everything is attained in life only by association, not by any other way. Is that okay?
Yes. It's not that our nature. Our nature is like that. We have associated from our childhood with those associations, and we have left association trying to artificially change our association, our nature. And sometimes it's very difficult to change our nature because from the young age we have associating, just like when we are in the college, we get the girls, and this one we get associated, when we get married, we are associating the women again. So the association which we are having, so it's very difficult to come out of that association. Even we are chanting in this one, the remembrance is always there from our childhood. Just like Prabhupada gave one example, he said, when I was 6 months old, I was on the lap of my sister. So this, you see, even though he is 70 years above, but still he remember that he was 6 months old, he is on the lap of his sister. So this remembrance is very difficult to come out from our nature. So the nature is our like that, so it is very difficult. So even though we are chanting, but this remembrance is coming to us and keeping on disturbing us.
Yeah, that is there. That's part of samskara. Samskara is very part of that samskara is there. It is there. So that's why this Krishna conscious practice is a process of reformation. But that reformation is, it takes time. It takes time, the reformation. So that's why that Bhagavatam verse, that the famous verse of the Bhagavatam in the first, in the chapter 2 of the first canto, that what was that verse? I kind of forgot the verse. That anyway, mentioned that the constant hearing of Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, then all those things that are very troublesome in the heart can be extinguished by constant hearing of Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. It's in the second chapter of the first canto. That this is, it's difficult, but it's not that it's impossible. It is possible, but it's very difficult. But it's possible to do. It is possible. So we have to have the desire to, we have to have that desire to cultivate, good and also we try to avoid, bad association as much as possible. I was reading something from Prabodhananda Saraswati the other way, where he was describing that that he was saying that I want to be far away from criticism of sin default in other person, in sin default in other people. He was describing it, even because the great acharyas, they know all these things, so they always making effort to see how all these things can be dealt with. They make all those efforts, because that is there. We have this samskara, not just in this life. This has been coming from us from several lifetimes, thousands and thousands of thousands of years. That's been gone now. So it's not easy thing. But however, I mentioned that just by association with a pure devotee, even a moment association, one can attain the most auspicious, even a moment association. But to get that moment association, one has to be very, very fortunate. It's called Bhagyavan Jiva. Bhagyavan has to become a very fortunate jiva. So therefore, the Acharya they recommend two things. That one, we should associate with those who are great, and secondly, we should also pray to the Lord. We should be praying for the Lord's mercy. The prayer must be there, and the same time association with the great will also be there. So that has to go on, side by side, basically, as they say. Anyway, we can come on discussing about it. It's ultimately everything comes down to our desire. But the main thing is that constant prayer has to be the thing. We have to keep praying that, yes, I am full of fault. I have all these anarthas. My dear Lord, please help me. Please help me. So we have to be prayerful, in that sense. Is that? Okay, thank you very much. Any other points? Any other question? Srila Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna.